Hello everyone, welcome to Lighthouse Stamping with Lorraine. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Vancouver, Washington. Thank you for joining me today. Before we get started, the housekeeping notes, all the product I'm using and all the dimensions are listed below. There's a link to my online store if you wish to purchase any of these products and help support my channel. There's a link to our Facebook group. We'd love to have you join that. There's my email address if you have any questions. And finally, remember to like, share, and subscribe and help me grow in YouTube world. We're going to be playing with many aspects of the suite from Traditions of Christmas, except everything in the Traditions of Christmas is gold. And I wanted some silver. So that's what we're going to do. And what we're making, I'm going to take and move those out, is this. We're going to add a little silver to my card this time. It's a very simple card, but very pretty. And if you don't know how to get that particular shade of pink, I'm going to show you because it's none of our ink stamps that are pink. So let's get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do our banner. Now the banner comes from the Tradition set, and it's this one. I've already die cut it because I want to put in here sending love and joy. I played around with this embossing or cutting it after you embossed. This one you really do need to cut it out first and then emboss it. So that's what we're going to do. And I cut out a couple of them. You see how pretty those are? They have the split there. Very nice. I need a photo mat. I need my Versamark and my Stampin' Buddy. And I have silver embossing powder today. Everything is covered with so much gold this year. And very little silver. So, the other thing you need to do, this comes out of here, and this actual one is together, Sending Love and Joy. And it looks weird because it looks like it's coming off at a sharp angle there, but it is designed, if you set it in here, it is designed to fit right in that die cut. So that's what we're going to do. Get my ink all ready here. Just flip open my embossing powder. And you can see exactly where it's going when you stamp it down. I know you can't see that very well, but you will in a second. I'm going to grab some tweezers. Make sure I got everybody well covered. This is where a pair of tweezers is nice because it is small. Now I'm a little high on the joy, but that's okay, I think. Grab my heat tool, so watch your ears. And that's a good landing, huh? Now I was a little high on the joy, but that's going to be okay. Well, I think it was going to be okay. Because when I was playing around yesterday, I actually made two. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that one. It's just, the joy is up a little bit, but I still think it's going to be okay. But you can use whichever one you want. I'm going to go ahead and use this one. I'll use that one on something else. So that's what you want to do first. And then I'm going to put my embossing powder away. And my Versamark. And my Stampin' Buddy. Because now we're going to do just plain old stamping. I did have a mat here just a minute ago. There it was. I lose stuff on my desk all the time. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we need things to stamp on. We're going to need our envelope. We are going to need our inside, which is 5 1/4 by 4. This is going to be a horizontal card, and this piece is approximately 5 by 3. So we are using 4 colors of ink today. We are using Cherry Cobbler, Old Olive, Real Red, and Secret Sea, and instead of black, I'm using Secret Sea. So first thing we're doing is this great big one. And this is so big, take the ink to your, this way. That way you can make sure you've got a good coverage over everything. And we're going to stamp that right in the middle of this piece of paper I did. Give it a second, let it sit. Make sure you got a nice, crisp, clean stamp. And that's it for that one. So we'll set that off to the side for a second. Now the inside piece, we're going to be stamping Merry Christmas and a flower bouquet. Now the Merry Christmas I put together. Ooh, I need to redo that. I didn't do it very well. This is, you've seen me line these up before. This is the not swirly Christmas. I'm going to line this up on my grid. I'm going to put the Merry just above it like that. So I've got it all on one block. And I'm going to take the Cherry Cobbler. I'm going to do the Merry Christmas, and I'm going to put it in an angle. Just like that. Okay, then we're going back to our Secret Sea. Now this is the flower bouquet. And if you can see here, there's a bow and it comes up there. We only want the top of this flower bouquet. So I'm going to basically ink up to about the bow. Then I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to make sure that I just have the flowers and not the bow. So we have that little bouquet in the back there. And we'll set that one aside for now. Okay. So for our envelope, I'm just putting a sentiment on the back, and it says, "'Tis the season." I'm going to do it in Cherry Cobbler. Christmas, I don't tend to get very elaborate on my decorating and envelopes because I don't think people really pay that much attention to them. Okay, so now we got to color in our pieces. I've got all these pieces. I'm going to bring them over here now. All of these pieces here will allow us to fill in what we just stamped. So I think we're going to start with the big piece first. And then we'll come back. So this big flower in the center here is going to be of Cherry Cobbler. And if you look at the inside piece, there's got this piece and this piece sticking out. If you look at your piece right here, and you look right at this flower right here, you can see exactly where that lines up, just like that. Look at where your stuff lines up and how it fits before you ink up, okay? And this one's Cherry Cobbler. Try to keep my head out of the camera too, but line it up as close as possible. Not too bad. And that should be the end of our Cherry Cobbler. Next, we are going to do the Real Red. And I could go back and forth with the two pieces, but I used a little bit different way on doing the other one, so I'm not going to. So first we have this great big full flower. So we got 2 of those here and here. And if you look on here, you want to take and See how they line up? There's one that is rounder than the other four. And the round one goes right like this. In that hole. And then when this one turns around, it's right there. So you just need to take a look at what you've got before you stamp. And down we go. I'm off a little bit, but you know, it doesn't make any difference. It's fine. I'm also looking through a camera and trying not to get my head in, and so not too bad. So set that there. We're not done with that yet. Then there's a flower that is a little off center. Now this one, we need our pink. I did like the pink in the paper, but it took me a while to figure out what it was. And it is actually real red, stamped off. It's the third stamping. So 1, 2, and 3. And there's our pink. So I'm going to go 1, 2. There's our pink. 1, 2. And our pink. 1, 2. So you're doing some counting to yourself. And 3. So there's that one. Okay. I'm going to leave the real red open over there because I'm not done with it yet. Next is the old olive. And we are going to do some leaves. There's only one leaf stalk here on all these. And it fits in like just like that. And I will tell you, if you use a bigger block when you are doing this, doesn't need quite this one big. It is easier to line up your things than being on a small block because you can see more around bigger area. And you won't be doing this through a camera either, so. Just like that. And then this piece, it's a little wispy piece, we are going to be stamping off. I can't remember if it was, I think it was the second generation. Yeah, second generation. Secret C, 1, just like that, stamp off, 2, stamp off, so that's our piece there, and we have a die to cut it out in a few minutes. Okay, we're still not done. We have this piece here. Now, what I decided to do with this one, I'm going to go ahead and clean my block off real quick. Going back to the real red. But instead of doing 3 stamp off on here, I'm decided to do 3 stamps off on, get my finger out of there, on the paper itself. So I'm going to do them here. 1, 2, 3. So you can see the 3 generations of the color on the inside. Which I thought was sort of fun. Okay, that's it for real red. Next we need our old olive. And we got a couple here. So we got this one here. Don't forget about the ones at the bottom. Looks like we got a top there. And a top and a stem there. Okay, and finally we need a little more Secret C. Stamp off. Now if you get ink around the outside, remember, don't tilt your block or you're going to have a mess. But there we go. That's the inside of our card. And I'm going to wipe my hands off because I do have ink on my hands. And we do not want ink all over our card. So I'm just going to take a little hand sanitizer here real quick. I think that's all the stamping. Now we got a little embossing and a little cutting to do. So to help speed things along, I did already cut one out, the magic of TV. I'll cut this other one out later. So we have this and this. And what we also need to die cut is we need to die cut our bow. And we also need to emboss our secret C piece. And we're going to be embossing that with the traditional Wreath 3D embossing folder. So let me get that off here. And get Otto out here. Make sure I've moved a few blocks with ink on them out of my way. And I'm going to need plate 1 and plate 4 and my embossing folder. Typically, I would line up my embossing folder where the nice line is on there, but I wanted to make sure I got as much coverage and got the circle right in the center of my card as possible. So I'm eyeballing the location of my piece right like that. If you come down here, the opening is way too high. But you play around with whatever way you want. Now, it doesn't have to be even a horizontal card. It could be a vertical card if you wanted it to be. But get some nice texture in there. Okay, and then there's a die in here that cuts out the 3 pieces of our bow, and this is just some silver foil. And you're going to need plates 1, 2, 3, and 3. Like I said, this would go through the mini, but I already have this one out, so. And my foil is a little thicker, so I'm going to roll it back one more time. Okay. And then what it does, it cuts this in 3 pieces. Well, the other 2 pieces are still stuck in the die, and we're going to leave them there for the moment, because one of those pieces is very tiny. And I find it easier to know it's in the die than not. Okay, so let's build our card. You're going to need your card base, which is real red, 11 by 5 1/4 scored. Let's start this over. 11 by 4 1/4 scored at 5 1/2. I've been doing so many of the other styles. I haven't done a horizontal in a while. And we're going to go ahead and put our inside piece in. There's the inside of our card. Then we're going to put our embossed piece in. Okay, next we need our saying. And when you run embossing powder over that, you need to make sure that you take a little tissue or Microsoft and just rub over it to make sure you have all the powder off of it. So we're going to put this on dimensionals, and this is our piece we made. And trying to decide if I like it this way or that way. I think we're going to go this direction. But we're not going to put everything on exactly straight. So what I'm going to do first is put dimensionals on this. I'm going right over that break in there, and I don't mind because I want it to make sure it's all secure up there. Just like that. So I'm just going to sort of set everything here until I decide where I want it. Something about like that. Now let's put this bow together. So there's one piece. See this tiny, tiny, tiny little piece there? There we go. So I'm going to use glue dots to put mine together because it is so tiny. And then we'll be using mini dimensionals to put it on. Okay. These are even too big, so you got to roll them up. And it'll give it a little elevation, but that's okay. So I'm going to put that right there in the center. And then I'm going to put this right over the top of it. And then there's this tiny, tiny little piece. And I'm going to turn it so it's the right side up. Let's see if I can do this again. That is so tiny, guys. I'm going to grab me another glue dot. Roll it up. I'm going to actually pick this up like that. That's how tiny that is. You see how tiny, tiny? Trying to get it in there so you can see it. It's so tiny, so small, it shines in there. I'm going to put it right over the top here and press. Just like that. And that's our bow. Okay, so I'm just going to do a little dry run here. I think I want my bow to come off here. This, so it needs to come up a little higher. Just trying to see how everything's going to fit. Come over this way a little bit further. So that's about where I want that. So I'm sort of making a mental note right in my head there where this is going. You know, if you're laying out a card and you want to go in the exact same spot or close to it, take a picture of it while you've laid it out dry, and then you can look at your picture. You can't do that when you're filming with your camera and phone, though. Okay, I'll put that one there. Then we're going to put our saying on. There we go. Now this is going to come on here. So this part is going to be hooked on this, but this needs to be raised up. So I'm going to use some seal across the top piece here, like that. And then I'm going to use some mini dimensionals. And I think I'm going to use 4. And if you turn them the right way, they do fit on here just perfect. One here. And one right about here. You see where I've got those little teeny ones there. Yeah, I sort of missed not having a lot of silver this year. I'm a silver girl over a gold girl. And then we're going to prop that right like that. So these are already on dimensionals, so we don't want to raise it up too much more. So we got that. Then we need some bling. And so I went with, if you're going to do silver, you better use rhinestones. So I'm going to put a big one here. A medium-sized one here, and a small one right about there. And that is my silver card. So thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.